Hello everyone and welcome. In this recording I'm going to be speaking about the energies of the present moment because we are just after a really powerful Uranian eclipse that is still life-changing. If nothing shocking, surprising, a true twist of events, turn of events in any way, shape and form, because this can also be spiritual, for example. This can also be just a mood. This can also be just an inner choice, decision, one that is so sudden, so unlike you, let's say, unlike the typical you, but it still gains a massive influence. So anyway, this can play out in so very many shapes, ways and forms, material, non-material, moods, feelings, in our lives, as in starting promoting from our lives, our inside, but it can be the other way around, where it enters into our life from our friends, acquaintances, other people, fate, karma, accident. But when I say accident, let's say the most positive exception of this term, where some coincidence, let's say, which is a minor inconvenience, but it connects you to someone, somewhere, a place, timing, something like that. So all of this is very possible, and surprises from fate. Yet because Uranus is in the picture, and Uranus is an active part of this eclipse, astrological energy, even the larger picture, of course, outside the eclipse and all of the other aspects, Uranus is very active and powerful all throughout this year and next year. So where I want to go with this, to predict is silly. Uranus is not going to act the way that is susceptible to any kind of prediction, although Uranus himself is the planet of predictions. But, this is like a divine dichotomy, Aquarius, the sign of dichotomy. It can be valid, exists, even if it's a contradiction, it is compatible with one another as long as they don't mix. This is kind of Aquarius energy, and Uranus the ruling planet. Anyway, so to predict what happens is silly, but we can very well interpret the energy. Now, the moment of the eclipse, that will either it already played out in your life, or is about to, or is ongoing to play out in your life. That is one thing, but the energy, the intent, the purpose, that is the other one, and that is what I would like to look at first of all, post-eclipse energy, and then, of course, I would like to consult the tarot, because that is the best source of guidance and advice for me personally. So, after this eclipse, all of the Scorpio planets are one after another opposing Uranus. So Sun, Mercury already opposed it, Venus already opposed it, and after the opposition, or better said, alongside the opposition, they also, one after another, hold a square to Uranus, so the Z square, and that is very important, because that is the moment when we truly make the choice, make the decision, either influenced by whatever our physical reality, our life, our present, the now, is starkly reflecting back at us, of what it is that we need to do, what it is that we are not allowed to do, how to break free from the old pattern, let's say, how to truly dive, or better said, give ourselves totally over the massive life change and world change which goes hand in hand, that all of us are experiencing, living through, going through at the present moment. So what is that? What is that old, because this is fixed energy, Scorpio, fixed water, the way you always used to feel, Taurus, fixed earth, the way you always valued everything, the lens of your value system, but reflected immediately in the material realm. So your customs, your routines, your everything that is deeply rooted. And then there is Aquarius, the mind, the specific mind that we are born with, the mental archetype that we possess that's also fixed. So this is a powerful fixed shift, which feels, doesn't matter how it happens, even if it's the most positive expression of this energy, it feels so different that it kind of feels a bit hard. But it's not hard, it's different. It's really different. And it also brings on confusion. Mercury opposing Uranus. Mercury opposing Uranus is when the mind is struck by the truth. And at very first it feels a bit confusing, but then it feels very certain. So this opposition is quite favorable because whatever stark truth dominates your present from within, a lack, something that you do not have, or something that you need to come to terms with. For example, you, no matter what you do, you no longer love a person the way you used to. The way you used to. Transformation. A job, a career, a life path. A side of the spirit, of spirituality. Everything changes. How many times did we not see when, let me just give you a very common example, when a mystic becomes a cleric becomes a mystic, and every crossbreed of the spirit that you can imagine. You know, one falling in spirit or one rising in spirit also gives birth to a totally new spiritual reality. Nothing stays the same way. For some souls, peoples who come here with a fixed life, yeah, it might stay very constant. It might seem to other people very constant. To them, of course, not, because it's an effort to keep the constancy. But for any other soul, it can change. In cycles, nodal activity, when the transiting node speaks to your natal node in a certain way, is it a trine, is it a square, is it conjunction, opposite, return? What is it? But those are life-changing energies. Where the fixed, especially now when the nodes are in fixed signs, it shatters. Even the deeply rooted shatters. So this is a period when this confusion is before the big truth setting in. That it's okay not to love the person, the hobby, the life path, whatever that is, the same way. Because something else is bound to take its place. Uranus squaring Saturn. It's almost like we're divinely blinded, even our intuition, even our Uranian function, to tell us, hint us, what births anew. But we're not allowed to grasp it yet with our minds, with our intuition, with anything. Neither intuition, Scorpio, the instinct of it, neither, Taurus, common sense, the big rules in life that are going to be the same always. Neither of these two very helpful and proper GPS components of a person's, any life, any path, love path, life path, this path, that path. Those intuition, instinct, because intuition is more Pisces. Let's say Scorpio is very intelligent instinct. Combine a position, Taurus, with the great common sense. Because when the opposition, what does that mean? The instinct comes with one input, the common sense, and the big laws of life. The cycles of nature, Taurus. The Taurus wisdom. When these two meet, and they find a balance, then someone finds their truth. Without a shadow of doubt. Because the instinct guides you in the same way. Common sense says, yes, go there because that's where probably you'll find what you want. And then we have a match, an inner match, an alignment, and things go. But, this is where it's a bit complicated. because neither the instinct, neither the common sense has any valid information when we quantum leaped. Neither the past works, but the future is also unknown, so we feel a bit lost. But birthing, something will birth itself from this, and that will be where we'll be found. Yet, first of all, these planets opposing, before we are found, the truth, whatever that is, emotionally, value-wise, and value-wise it can manifest physically, our material lives following it, a divorce, a union, because this can be anything, any big decision to go and pursue a career, to terminate a job, to whatever inner truth will ultimately affect material reality very soon. If not this year, let's say next year then. But then there is sun. We also change. How we perceive the self, how we perceive our situation, and how we perceive our new lives also changes. Because in one life, we had this blacklist of weaknesses. After quantum leaping and living a new reality, both the virtues and weakness, the old list is going to be different. It's not going to be the same. This is where some items even cross lists. It was a great weakness once. In a new reality, a new life, in a new persona, it can be a great virtue. And it's so... Let me just give you a very scorpionic example. You are a very, let's say, lustful person. But at one stage of your life that was on the weakness list because you had to contain it. It was not basically possible for you to live it maximally in that cycle. A new cycle comes and you enter into a partnership where you have a similar partner. That immediately gets from the weakness list onto the virtue list, because that will be one thing that will keep you two together and contribute to overall happiness without a shadow of a doubt. And these transitions from one list to another, from one polarity to another, is so typical under an eclipse energy. And with this Uranus and Scorpio planets T-square, reverse of polarity, surprise, surprise. And five senses. We can be even surprised by our own five senses. Let's say there is a food because food is a very Taurian element, we just never ever liked. So much so that we really stayed away. Even the smell kind of turned us off. Something happens, overnight you crave it. And how do you explain it? And when you taste it, it's something in between the two. It's neither the great satisfaction that you, when it was just a mental energy when you craved it, but neither is it disgusting the way it always used to be. An unexpected dimension of that smell, taste, or whatever that is born. In matters of love, in matters of sensuality, Scorpio, you never used to like this, whatever that is. Surprise, surprise, you kind of like it. And you don't know, you can't even explain it. Reverse of polarities. You never used to like this kind of person. Let me just give you a very personal example, because I never used to like the quiet type. And not that I had a problem with it. It did not spark my interest in any way, physically, mentally, spiritually, in any way, shape, and form. Surprise, surprise. It's the opposite. And how did it happen? Well, an eclipse. Good thing I'm an astrologer. But this can happen in all of our lives right now, in the coming week, in the coming month. Reverse of polarities. Something in your life which fixed cross always used to be like that is gonna be the opposite, and also okay, and you being okay with it. So this is not maybe there is like 0.00%, 1% of souls people who are that stubborn and whatever that they will take this as a big tragedy and oh no. Everyone else will ultimately adapt to this and will learn to see the good in it and the fantastic actually in Uranus. Of course, this is where some people have to either abandon their big material empires because that was the strongest part of their lives, the money, the material well-being, but what comes after is a much greater material well-being because they will live life a different way, where they will be grateful that they either lost or gave up all of that. Reverse of polarity. Those who always lived free of those might this time have to take the responsibility to have material possessions. So, and one might think, well, isn't the last category the blessed? No, because there are some people who infinitely dislike being bound to anything. They don't want to have anything. Some homeless people are not homeless because fate struck them, but because their souls are that rebellious and brave. Many are saints, and we don't know them. Why? Because to us it's insanity, to them there's no other way to hold the frequency of freedom. Defy matter and be okay. No darkness, no entity, nothing can touch you if you do that. You're immune to karma, to anything. You might be a homeless person, or would appear so, but you're immune to everything. Everything. So, we don't know who we meet in life, because that homeless person can be a victim of fate, can be paying for something they've done, or they can be a blessed free soul who blesses us and creates a miracle in our lives just by us staring in their eyes, because you don't know who that person is. It can be, as I said, an angel, a saint in disguise. Not even in disguise, because that's their true form. Something that cannot be bound by matter. If one would think that a blessed soul will live in golden palaces and the opposite, without being restricted by matter. So, free souls, rebels, adventurers, soldiers sometimes who don't have any possession on earth are special souls usually. But then there comes an eclipse and the special soul, regardless of who it is that you are, in spirit, will find the need, go and have a house, go and commit, go and settle down. Sorry. And for that soul, it's the same kind of tragedy as it is for the soul who had everything and lost their material possessions. One is pushed into freedom, the other one is pushed into other type of service. But after a while, both of these souls are going to be absolutely okay, blessed and grateful that whatever happened to them at this eclipse happened to them. The reverse of polarity. Whatever made you happy, it will still make you happy, the reverse of it. Because it's the same thing. Polarity is still the same thing. It doesn't matter, love, hate. It's the same thing because you're obsessed at the person, if you know what I mean, the soul or whatever. It's a slight of obsession is scorpionic. And yes, Sun, Mercury, Venus and Scorpio, opposing Uranus. We are very, very well aware of our obsessions. And perhaps this time that we have full control over it. Some obsessions can be kept. How I adore my cat, let's say. Would the divine want you to eliminate that obsession when it makes your life magical? But being obsessed by, and you can Google YouTube, you can search on YouTube that there are like videos like my unusual obsession or my unusual addictions, stuff like that. Yes, this eclipse invites us to eliminate from our lives. This is also the energy where, like it or not, we say bye-bye to substances, addictions, things, people, sensations we used to love and fulfill us very much. We say bye-bye to them and we open our souls to something much simpler to replace it. Simpler, simple. A flower, a hobby, a physical exercise, fresh air. Something simple can replace addictions and that which, but as I said, there can be stuff which is actually positive. It's obsessive, it's addictive, it's... You're not the bester anymore because it has power over you, Scorpio. But if it's magical, if it's a good bad, then the universe will not actually care for you to eliminate it. Neither should you all that much if it actually helps you for the sheer sake of elimination. No. You need to be the judge of what hurts you, harms you, and has unhealthy power over you, and what simply doesn't. This eclipse does all of that. That's why, but no, let's get to the, because this is where I want to get to the most positive aspect of this eclipse. All of these planets, one after another, will start trining Neptune in Pisces. And this trine with Neptune reactivates April 2022 when Jupiter and Neptune and also Venus is part of this picture, that's why she's important, reactivates that conjunction, that unique, unprecedented, because no one will ever feel this energy in this incarnation ever again. And there are generations who never ever feel this energy at all ever in their lifetimes. So we are blessed to have met that energy. And as Venus trines it, it reactivates it, it re-evokes it. The Jupiter and Neptune conjunction of this April. Magic comes back into our lives. That magic that planted itself in, what was it, a song, an epiphany, a state, creativity, something birthing itself from your soul, forgiveness, healing, regeneration, releasing traumas, releasing hurts, releasing bad habits, let's say, not just low, but abyssally low self-worth and self-esteem, which can be karmic, which can be planted into you by beings, by energies, by centralized power, and I'm so sorry to say this. That was washed out, and right now these Scorpio planets are trining that angle once more. And this is where we get the true side of the blessing of it. So something reverberates back, returns back. The waves of Neptune and Jupiter is also in Pisces. Jupiter is also back in action. This is the divine is strongly at work. Regardless of how hard and heavy the T-square of this eclipse and Uranus and the Taurus-Scorpio axis, this T-square, might feel in your life for you personally, there is a huge side of blessing to it, soothing, healing energy, and big closures, big accomplishments, especially that which is more spiritual in nature, karmic in nature. And as I said, this is the kind of energy that removes generational curses and all the heavy stuff, really. And also when that which was programmed into us by school, education, society, what we were told, this is where when all of us in one way or another were almost forced, almost violated into the empirical dimension of science. That, as I said, trauma, hurt for the soul can be very quickly undone. Because, not every soul is meant to live in the empirical, scientifically explainable dimension of life. Because there are souls who are gifted with that special thing that none of that is real to them. So they can defy reality. When you're forced, at least for 10 years, 7 years, how much is education, forced education, to mentally learn that the atom has to have this behavior and that behavior because of behavior is optional. Behavior can be changed. The divine's mood can change even the behavior of the atom. There are some souls who know this and are blessed with this knowledge, and for them is real, and they defy everything. There are other souls who cannot and should not live in this because they would disintegrate. Now, that's absolutely fine because Aquarius both can coexist. Well, but if there's forced education, then they can't. Because then one category loses its sugar and spice and will never ever become fully aware of itself. Until Neptune and Jupiter in 2022 meet in the sky, and this is how this scorpionic energy triggers that. Where the education is washed away, dissolved, you become free, so free in your unconscious that life changes dramatically. And karma and karmic elements, building blocks, sometimes waste comes in waves. But the waste, it could pollute some souls, but that very waste can feed other souls to become trees. Trees that reach the sky, the stars, where their leaves also feed off starlight. So yes, this is where things become different energy-wise. So you can imagine that this will reflect in our world as well. But the blessing side of it is also here. The big karmic love, the big karmic understanding, the big forgiveness, how, regardless of how hard and scary the other side of the energy might be, the trine to Neptune, well, that is still miraculous in itself. And it will guide us to where it is guiding us actually even in the now where we need to be. Now I would also like to add a couple of words of guidance, tarot, because as I said, prediction would be... Yeah, this is so beautiful, really, the sun. But that is what happens in eclipse. The light returns. And the sun, just not so long ago, there was another eclipse in Scorpio. A partial solar one. And that has creational elements to it. Yeah, this is so. King of Swords. Death reversed. Death reversed is the Scorpio. Death is Scorpio in tarot. How beautiful, because you see, it's regeneration, Phoenix. That is one of the sides of this energy. It births, but rebirths. Five of Coins reversed. Exactly. Shedding. A brief moment of scarcity or reset. That's part of the picture. And Page of Coins. All of us are starting anew, either soon, because this Uranus can mess up timing, so to speak, or in Aries, next Aries season. So as guidance, the Four of Swords and Queen of Coins, this means without doubt that some things in life need to grow. So what can we do other than to wait patiently, not panic, not despair? Whatever is growing, maybe it doesn't have 100% certainty that it will survive the winter, the spring. But as long as it's growing and we see it growing, we feel it growing, we nurture it, why fear? Let's just live what we can live right now and trust the growth. Trust that everything is going to be okay. Trust that we are going to be rewarded handsomely for the fact that we chose love. Because we have as I said, the past conjunction of Neptune and Jupiter in this April. We have chosen love at that moment. And another thing that I would like to say, water. So the water calamities might return at some parts of the world. And this is where we might also feel the water within us strongly. So, if there's like a urinal infection or something like that, that's meant to purge. So it's not really the end of the world, but these things with water or not being able to hold it or leakages and stuff like that might be. And tears, of course, tears. Allow the tears to flow. And I'm using a different deck. The Magician. This is where all of our duties, first of all, right now, is to learn how the new reality works. Because very soon, perhaps in a month, karma will not work the same. The beginning and the end. As I said, this is reality will not, we need to learn how to navigate. And the Two of Water. We need to be loyal to the self right now. So I think this is pretty much it. I do hope this was helpful. And again, please remember, regardless of how shocking, how uprooting, how Uranian this period, this week, this day even, this month feels for you, regardless of how it shakes up your life either from within or from the outside, remember that Neptune trine, the divine, comes with help. Whatever is breaking up in your life, there is already something to compensate. It comes together. When the problem is there, that means the help is also there. In Christian Orthodox culture, there is a saying that God does not give you a heavier cross that you can bear. It's calculated, of course, I run per absurdum, but it's calculated so that it cannot be bigger than your endurance. There are very, very few moments in life that maybe sometimes it asks for your maximum endurance. If you have a car, how many moments in the car's life will it reach its maximum speed, where it's really the maximum? Once or never. For normal people. Or let's say a few times, but this is where chances are it might feel tough, but it's not our maximum tolerance really. We can do it. We do have the strength. We do have the resources somewhere in our lives to cope, to manage, and be okay and arise from this to be able to thrive very soon. if we cannot see where these tools to cope are buried, hidden, that's okay, because Uranus is also, it will be revealed to us. All we need to do is be on our side. Not in an egocentric way, of course, because that is self-defeating in from the first second. But be on our side. Be on our own side this time. So I do hope this helped. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for all the love, all the beautiful comments. And if you'd like to support me, you can find the PayPal link in the description below. And with this being said, I wish everyone, blessings at this eclipse. Until next time, bye for now.